Okay, Balo Shobo.
It's entertaining. It's educating. Really informative. Qualitative news as it breaks. It's OSBC Radio 2, 104.5 FM. Numero uno south of the Sahara. Voice of the West.
Studio time is 3 o'clock. This is OSBC Radio 104.5 FM. Milea Wiye, okay, Balo Shobo.
Good afternoon, the Home News. Wife of the state governor, Mrs. Kafayat Oyetola, has again put smiles on the faces of the survivors of the gender-based violence in the state when she hosted them in her office at GRA Okefia Government House, Osogbo. Mrs. Oyetola reaffirmed her commitment with the support of her husband, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, to continue to put smiles on the faces of the people of the state. The chairperson of the Southern Governor's Wives Forum identifies leadership as a call to meet the yearnings and aspirations of the people. At the event, Mrs. Oyetola urged the survivors of the gender-based violence in the state to make judicious use of the cash grant given to them by our office to start a viable business that will augment their means of livelihood. She stressed that one of the objectives of the Southern Governor's Wives Forum is to ensure that gender-based violence survivors get necessary assistance and support from Macton's Foundation and other donor agencies. Highlight of the event was the presentation of cash grants aimed at empowering the survivors of gender-based violence by the wife of the governor, Mrs. Kafayat Oyetola. The Eburu of Iba, Oba Adekunle Adeogun Okunwoye, has implored members of academic staff of Nigerian universities to engage the services of neutral negotiators on the lingering industrial action with the federal government. Oba Adekunle Adeogun gave the advice today while exchanging views with OSBC News on the 60-month ASU federal government imbroglio. He said the situation on ground calls for engagement of professional stakeholders who can compel the federal government to yield to the demand of Academic Staff Union of Nigerian universities. According to the monarch, also a professor in ICT, the Minister of Education, and other top echelon in the education sector cannot find a lasting solution to the issue of industrial action. Speaking on insecurity in the country, the traditional father said all hands must be on deck to checkmate insecurity in the country. Oba Adekunle maintained that the traditional rulers across the country are not resting on their oars to find a lasting solution to the state of lawlessness in the country. The 20th valedictory service of Gulf International Schools Osogbo comes off tomorrow morning at the school's sporting field, onward area of Bogon Ibadan Road, Osogbo. A release by the directors, Chief Olugbenga and Chief Mrs. Olufunke Olowe, indicates that the program will hold under the chairmanship of Acting Director, Osogbo Southern Office of NACTIV, Mr. Ekrika Efe, with Dr. Mrs. Omololu Fibe of Dental Headquarters State Specialist Hospital, Osogbo, as chairperson. The statement adds that Mr. Lekon Anyonyemi of Alliance Française Ibadan is the guest of honor, while the guest lecturer is Professor Ademola Adeleke of Faculty of Education of Bafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. It stresses that the valedictory service of Gulf International Schools Osogbo will feature a post-parade of events including prize given in appreciation of good character service and academic excellence, as well as cultural display. A commendation service for late Venerable Olujide Adepoju of Kesin Kampad and Osun hosts tomorrow morning at Holy Trinity African Church of Atedo, while service of songs and Christian wake follows at the deceased resident number 5, Zone 1, Ilokoju Estate of Atedo in the evening. A release jointly issued by the deceased children, Dr. Ayodeji Adepoju and Mrs. Bose Adebola, indicates that the final burial of Venerable Olujide Adepoju is scheduled for Friday at Christ Cathedral of African Church, Isale Jabo Osogbo in the morning, while interment will follow at the deceased residence. Late Venerable Olujide Adepoju is survived by wife, Mrs. Olubumi Adepoju, Director of Finance and Accounts with the OSBC, children and grandchildren, among other relatives. Funeral rites for the one-time Permanent Secretary in the State Civil Service, Chief Bosun Omole, begins tomorrow with service of song at his Osogbo residence. The late Chief Omole, who was the Asiwaju of Ipetule, died last May at the age of 78. On Friday, there will be a commendation service in his honor at All Souls Cathedral, Okefia, Osogbo, to be followed by Lion State at number 1 Government Housing Estate, Okeoniti, Old Oba Road. Same day, the body of the deceased will be received at Ipetule Town Hall for tribute by the Ipetule Development Association, IDA. Thereafter, Christian wake in memory of Chief Olatunbosun Omole will hold at our compound in the community. The final funeral service is billed for the Methodist Church, Nigeria, Ipetule, on Saturday. The late Chief Omole was survived by his wife, Victoria Olanike, children, grandchildren, and brothers, as well as sisters. In the meantime, the death has occurred of one-time Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Establishment and Training, Mr. Owade Adigun. He released from his junior brother and former Ratawu State Chairman, Comrade Kende Adigun, indicates that Mr. Owade died at the age of 76 during a brief illness. The release adds that the burial arrangement will be announced in due course. And that was the home news. Good afternoon.